So, as I was saying, in superficial reading, your goal with superficial reading is to read through the book. And this means that you never stop. While you read through the book, you don't stop. And even if you meet words or things that you don't understand what they are, you still never stop. You just continue, right? So let's say I'm reading a book and I suddenly come across a word that I don't understand what it means. Let's say contingency theory. What the hell does that mean? I didn't know. But even if I don't know, I still continue reading through it. And then the information that I understand, I pick up. The information I don't, I just read through. And you just continue reading through it. Your goal with this superficial reading is to go through the entire book at once as soon as possible, right? But as soon as possible, reading the words, listening to the words. And now, you've probably heard about this and you think it's pretty cool, but this is where speed reading comes in, okay? So with superficial reading, this is the dimension of reading where you do perform speed reading. And this is where speed reading becomes useful. Because speed reading allows you to go through the book very fast in a short period of time. And it allows you to get a big overview of the entire book. And that is what your goal is with superficial reading. You just want an overview of the entire book. And you'd be surprised, but with superficial reading and an overview of the entire book, you already gain a big amount of information and knowledge from the book. Okay? So, to perform superficial reading, you read through the book, never stopping, even if you meet words or things that you don't understand, and you're preferably reading in an environment where people cannot distract you or cannot go up to you and ask you questions, and you can read through it as soon as possible. Your goal with superficial reading is to go through the book in one session. Okay? So you go through the book and you might be asking, what if I need to go to the bathroom? What if I need to go to the kitchen or I become hungry? You can take breaks and do your necessities, but it has to be less than 10 or 15 minutes. You should not go more time from that away from the book. Okay? So when you go through the book in one session, it should be the same thing as watching a movie in one session. So it's when you watch a movie in the cinema, all in one setting. So what's advisable, just like when you're going to watch a movie in the cinema, you go to the bathroom first, you go and pick up the snacks that you're going to eat. Likewise, when you're going to read a book with superficial reading, you also go to the bathroom first and you take snacks with you so that you can eat while you're reading the book. Because very easily you can look at the book and eat at the same time, just like you are watching a movie. So this is superficial reading. And the goal with superficial reading is essentially to give anticipation for analytical reading. Okay? So, inspectional reading, let's sum it up. First of all, you go through the cover, the back cover, the dust jacket, the title of the book, you go through the table of contents, you go through the index, and you go through it very fast so you can get a picture about what the book is about very quickly. In a few minutes, you already know what the book is about. And then you can take that information and decide whether you want to read the book or not. So you should only take a maximum of 10 minutes to perform the first part of inspectional reading. After you've performed that part in under 10 minutes and you've decided that you want to read the book, then you go to the next part. And the next part of systematic skimming or pre-reading a book is where you find the pivotal chapters, the most important parts in the book, and you go to them and you read the opening and the closing few paragraphs of each chapter to gain a better understanding of what it's about. And after you've done it with the pivotal chapters, you then have spent a few minutes and at most 1 hour, and you already know what the book is about, the structure and how it's organized. Then after you have completed the first part of inspectional reading, systematic skimming or pre-reading, you then can move on to the second part of inspectional reading, which is superficial reading. And in this part of inspectional reading, you then read through the book in one session, and you never stop, even if you meet words or things, concepts that you don't understand, just continue, just don't care. And your goal is to go through the book in one session. And you might use speed reading. The author actually recommends it, that you use a technique that you go through sentences very fast, but try not to go so fast that you don't interpret anything or you don't understand anything. Don't do like that guy that goes to show your talent or something, and he says that he's the fastest reader alive. So he essentially just takes a book and does this. Goes through the pages just like this, and then acts like he understood the entire book. So don't go so fast where you do what that guy did. I can probably show you the clip of what I meant. So look at the clip.
I read a 1,679 pages book within 2 seconds.
Wow.
You did what?
Yes. Go on. What is it?
What
It
just
was
happened?
fast, so you didn't know.
Okay, you've watched it. Don't do that, okay? You want to speed read at a speed that you are still able to understand what the author is saying to you, but you are not going so slowly as to analyze the concept to understand it fully, okay? So you just go through it even if you meet words, concepts, or things that you don't understand. And your goal with superficial reading is to go through the book in one session, just like watching a movie in the cinema with popcorn. So you go to the bathroom first and you take snacks with you before you perform superficial reading. And when you have done that, you have successfully created anticipation of analytical reading. Reading, it can be applied to anything. It can be applied to anything. And the most interesting part, or the most interesting application of inspectional reading that I have noticed thus far in my experience after reading it, is actually in social gatherings. When you're performing social gatherings or networking. Okay? Now let's first go through these definitions. What are social gatherings? Social gatherings can be any event. It can be a party where high school students go through, have fun. It can be a football match where two teams gather to play football against each other. It can even be frat parties at university. It's gatherings where, as the word says, humans gather together in one place to perform a certain activity. When you're going to the movies, in the cinema, as the previous example, that's also a social gathering. And networking, what the word means, is that you're creating human relationships. And with the human relationships that you create, you can then go through and find other people that the person knows, so you can make more human relationships. And the goal with networking, with human relationships, is to get opportunities. And opportunities, it can be knowledge that can help you in an area of your life. So let's say you're having trouble with a mathematics assignment, right? The university class, quite a common occurrence. You're having trouble, you go to a social gathering and you suddenly meet people that are also in your class, and you go up to them and say, "Hey, what's up? It's nice to see you. How are you doing?" You do small talk, and then you can ask, "What did you think about the mathematics assignment? Have you finished it?" And then he says, "Yes, I finished it. It was easy." And then you say, "Oh man, I'm having so much trouble with it. Could you help me?" And then he says, "Yeah, I can help you." And then you tell him the problem, show it, and he helps you. And you just got an opportunity to complete your assignment, to learn how to complete your assignment through networking. When you go higher up in society and you go to conferences, the networking is then job opportunities or business opportunities. So it could be, I have an idea. I want to create a business, but I don't know how to do lots of things. I don't know how to develop a technology, how to develop energy. I don't know how to file lawsuits or things about law. And I don't know how to sell my product. I don't know how to market it online. So what I do, I go to networking, events, conferences. I greet a lot of people, what their name are, where they're from, what they work with, what they studied. And if one of them knows something that can help me in my business idea, I tell them about my business idea, which business people call pitching. And if they're interested, they give you feedback and they want to join the project, they join. And then you can build the business idea, the project together, okay? So networking, it provides you opportunities and resources that you can use to accomplish your goals. And the way you can apply inspectional reading when meeting a person, it could be, for example, let's say that I want to find a person that does online marketing, okay? I want online marketing for my business. And do know that this depends on what you want to do. It can be anything. It can be, I want to find a boy that does this and this and this, so I can turn into my boyfriend or girlfriend, okay? Then you have certain characteristics, and you can go to people and perform inspectional reading, okay? So this is how you do it. In the first part of inspectional reading, where you read the cover, we look at the cover, the back cover, the dust jacket, and the table of contents of the book. When you apply that when you're meeting a person, you can look at their appearance. What clothes are they wearing? Are they wearing any logos? Are they wearing any movies or music? If you notice, it tells a lot about that person. If a person is walking around with a Nirvana t-shirt, then that person probably likes listening to Nirvana. So you can walk up to them and say, "Hey, I like your t-shirt. You listening to Nirvana too?" And immediately you create a connection with that person. And if you, for example, the table of contents that you can go later on, right? So the title of the book, it's the name of the person. You ask the person, "Hey, what's your name?" And then that person tells you, and it tells you a lot about the person. And then you can ask, where are they from? All right? And then they say the country that they're from, so you can start creating the table of contents of the book that the person is, right? So the person says, "I'm from Sweden." So you can already put Sweden into the table of contents, from Sweden, born in Sweden. And you can ask, "How long have you been in Sweden?" Then you get more information. And then you can make a comment about Sweden. "I like IKEA." And then the person says, "Yeah, nice." And already you're building a relationship, you're building a friendship, making that person feel good, and that person is making you feel good. And afterwards you can find out what they study, what they did for work. So then you know what the person does for work, what they studied, and with psychology, you can also use a lot of tools and a lot of frameworks to extract even more information from these simple things. For example, if a person is good at selling, right? Then from psychology, you can already extract that that person is good at talking to other people and is an extrovert and has an extroverted personality, very likely. So those are just a few examples of what you can do with inspectional reading. So you may think that this is weird. You're making it more complicated than it is, and you might be right. But for me, I think that this is a tool, a framework that you can use to facilitate the activities that you already do, right? Because with this, you know what you're doing and you know how to do it better. You do this, most humans do this subconsciously, right? They are performing inspectional reading when they look at a person, the person has a certain appearance, they're already in their mind with stereotypes and what they know, already start to paint a picture of what the person is about, right? But they're missing a lot of information, where the person is from, what it does for work, and so forth. So it's essentially what you're doing with inspectional reading. You want to gain information about the person so you can find out if that person can help you with something that you have, or if you can help that person, and it just facilitates the process much easier. So next time you go to a party, you can ask the person where she's from, what she does for work or studies, something that you already do, and it will be much easier. So for extroverts, this is probably not so useful, right? Because you already do this subconsciously without thinking about it. But for introverts, which I was 3 years ago, until I became an extrovert, I didn't know this. So when I went to parties and so forth, met new people, I didn't ask anything. I didn't know what to say. So I really remember this when I came back to Norway from Portugal, and then I went to a party. I drank a lot of wine because back then I couldn't drink alcohol. It was illegal for me, but I wanted to try it, so I did it. And maybe it was because I was drunk, I don't know. I don't think so, but I was talking to persons that I met, and I just nodded my head, yeah, yeah. So they asked me all the questions, and I gave all the information about me, but I didn't ask anything back, right? So introverts are like this. Even if they are not drunk, they still don't know that they should ask questions, and if they want to ask questions, they don't know what to ask. They're not curious about the person, so they just say yes, no, and answer the person. So the conversation is very one-sided. But if you're able to apply inspectional reading, then suddenly you're able to network even if you're an introvert. So I think this framework and this tool of applying inspectional reading to networking for introverts is quite useful. And if I knew this when I was an introvert, everything would become so much easier. Like I would have used the opportunities that I had so much better, and my life would probably be better than it is right now. But hey, I'm not complaining. My life is very good right now. But it could have been very good like this, faster. So yeah, this is inspectional reading and its applications. And at the end, as we always do, these are the references that I used. Editor, pull them up on the screen. And it's How to Read the Book of Mortimer J. Adler. And I can just check quickly for you guys. The book is 440 pages, right? And it's quite long. And so far, I've only read 100 and maybe 200 pages, so it's quite useful. But like Francis Bacon says, some books are meant to be digested if they're very useful, right? So you read them multiple times, and the things that they say, you keep them. But other books you just read once or you don't even read at all. And I think for me and for you it cannot be very valuable to read this book, how to read a book. Or you can just continue watching my videos where I give overviews and reviews of the books and I give you the principles so you don't need to do the hard work. So I make your life easier, but for me it is super valuable, this book. Yeah.